Okay, friends. I think we're almost live on Facebook. Maybe we are live, um, but I'm just going to be patient nonetheless. Um, yeah, we're live now, friends. And my name is Ben Groskop. I'm the Executive Director of People's Music Network. And the purpose of this little thing that we're doing right now is just to bring everybody up to speed on some of the basics of using uh, PowerPoint. No, excuse me. How we improve our audio settings on Zoom when we're performing music. So I have a PowerPoint, excuse my dyslexia, which I'll just briefly go over the information that I know about how we can improve our sound. So can I get some thumbs up if you see your full screen filled up with this the slide that says improving audio quality for live musical performances on Zoom? Good. Okay, that's what we want. Yeah, so this is just about 10 minutes of time, but basically, oftentimes when we are there sitting there watching a performance on Zoom, we think to ourselves, gee, the audio doesn't sound quite right. Well, so there's a lot of different specific causes that make audio sound bad. And what I want to do is just go over those real quick. So the first one would be slow internet connectivity. And one of the effects of it you'll get is like choppy sound. You'll be like singing, and then it's like, and that because what happens there is the internet got clogged up and all those ones and zeros kind of got stopped because that pipe that, all the information goes through was too small. Also, so that affects sound, it affects video, you get unstable video and the screen will freeze. Another issue is the microphone quality. So, I like to use this here microphone, which I'll just go ahead and plug into my computer. It's things get a little better when you plug in a nice microphone. I don't it's just taking a while to recognize my microphone, but I like to just show you what the difference can be. Is on my Zoom settings. Yeah, it just clicked over to the nicer microphone here. And so this is a USB microphone that I had, and it plugs directly into my computer. We'll talk about some of the other setups that people use, but there's more than one that kind of brings the quality of the whole audio stream much better. So the consequence of just using the built-in microphone on our computer is that the sound definition that those microphones can pick up is just lower. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about the software settings in Zoom not being set properly. One of the issues that we have with Zoom is that it's set up for meetings, and so it's really focused. It has all this default audio compression that focuses on the frequencies of the human voice, which is different than what we do as musicians, because we like to use instruments, many of us, although some of us are also singing a cappella. And then we can talk a little bit about some of the issues with poor placement of the microphone, because that can affect the balance of a musical performance, particularly if we have both a voice and an instrument. Okay, so I'm just going to move to the next slide. So to address that first issue with the connectivity, how can we improve internet connectivity? Okay, well, we're going to start with the first two options that don't cost anything extra, probably, than what you're already paying. The last one just costs money because that's how you get your internet from your internet service provider. But let's look at the first one. Okay, so computers have these days Wi-Fi connectivity, and they also have an Ethernet jack, or many of them do. Some computers don't have Ethernet jacks anymore, and you actually have to buy an extra connector to get your computer set to the to go directly through a wire into your modem. In general, Ethernet connections are faster than Wi-Fi connections. However, what I always suggest is, if you're trying to figure this out, use speedtest.net to actually measure the upload speed and download speed of your connection, because that is actually going to confirm whether or not it's true that the Ethernet connection is. I can tell on mine, speedtest.net, it's just a tiny bit faster if I have my computer plugged into an Ethernet jack. Like right now, I have my computer plugged into an Ethernet jack, which isn't to say that if you're using a Wi-Fi, it won't work. It's just that it will get a little faster with an Ethernet jack. Then the other thing is, maybe you have others in your household who are using the internet at the same time, and that can actually have a really big effect on your internet connectivity. If your spouse or fellow housemate or whatever is using Zoom, especially, or like using the internet in any way, but especially like Zoom, which use very high bandwidth requirements, if that's going on at the same time. So negotiating the time can be very useful about who's streaming at any given time. And then the final thing, upgrade your service with your internet service provider. That costs money, but that's basically just the different plans, that how we get connected to the internet. Some plans are faster than the others. Okay, we're going to talk a little more about this when we get into people's individual sound checks. But basically, you can go to your advanced audio settings to get your settings set right. So I said earlier that Zoom has default audio compression. Well, what this slide is all about is disabling that default audio compression. Okay, so the first one would be you'd go into your advanced audio settings in the Zoom application, and you would check the option to show in-meeting option to enable original sound from microphone. Then after you've done this step, you can go back into your Zoom meeting window, press the button, turn on original sound, because within a meeting, that is to say, when you have your window with all the other people in your meeting that's up, you basically go through that and say, it's going to have in the upper left hand corner a button that says turn on original sound or turn off original sound. And once you've pressed turn on original sound, the words change, turn off original sound. And that means original sound is on, which is what you want. But there's a lot of double negatives in the way that the words are used in Zoom, because if original sound is on, that means what you're really doing is you're disabling the audio compression. So that's kind of a little thing to get the hang of. Basically, audio compression makes background noise. It takes down the volume of background noise, which is very useful if you're like sitting in a cafe, for instance, and you're on a Zoom meeting with other people, but kind of distracting if you're trying to play a guitar. And the frequencies of the guitar are actually treated as extraneous noise because it's different than the sound that your voice makes, but it's actually pretty fundamental to what a musician is trying to perform. Okay, we can consider, this is another one that costs money, looking at different microphone qualities. Again, if you're doing a cappella, some of this isn't necessary, because a cappella is kind of like really similar to talking, and the microphones on computers actually provide a somewhat better audio quality representing the human voice than a telephone, for example. But if you are using an instrument, it can be very useful to look at like what kinds of microphone options are available. I started a little discussion forum in the members section of the People's Music website. This is the link right here, and you can use this to this link right here to actually see what other PMN members are saying has been working well for them. We have people who use kind of like I have. It plugs into my computer through a USB cord, but there's also like a regular old FSM58 microphone that you would use like on a stage, but then you run that through a mixer, and then the mixer has a USB output. So there's more than one way to do it, and I'm learning more as I go through this with people each week and see what equipment they're using. And then the final thing is improving microphone placement. the main strategy I suggest is keeping the microphone fairly close to your voice, and consider raising, if you're using a built-in microphone on your computer, you might consider raising physically the computer into the air so it's a little closer to your voice. And one other thing I really like when using an external microphone, it's very helpful to have a boom microphone stand, which is like what I got here. So, because that allows you to obviously put it closer to your face, which is kind of where the audio signal is going to be the strongest. And a lot of podcasting microphones these days come with like desk mics, so it's kind of a little farther away. But these are all things we can kind of experiment with. So yeah, so that's the end of that presentation. And I'm gonna stop the share here and end the live stream, and then we'll have a little more conversation as a group about how we all do this. So thanks for listening.